Less than 2 years, Kenya returns to the ballot, but this will be no ordinary election. The 2027 general election is already shaping up as a defining moment. This will not just be another vote. It's a high-stakes contest that will determine just who leads the country, who controls parliament, and how Kenya confronts its economic challenges and a rising demand youth population. From emerging power blocks to the battle for the youth vote, the political ground is already moving. So what lies ahead and who is positioning themselves for the ultimate prize? Our reporter Alvin Kithinji takes us through the evolving landscape of Kenya's 2027 race. Take a look.
Kama kuna mkabila mkuu Kenya hii ni William Ruto.
Wewe Soprano, kuja hapa. Enda Kiharu. Chukua maharagwe.
Rigathi Gachagua nitakuaibisha, wachana na mimi.
Hiyo kiti ya deputy president ndio tunalenga sana.
Mimi ndio nitaongoza safari ya kupeleka Kasongo nyumbani aende mpaka Sugoi.
We cannot hand over to people hawana mpango. Ati mpango yao Ruto must go. Sasa Ruto must go itakusaidia na nini?
Acha nikuambie Kasongo. Umefanya mzuri kukubali utashindwa. Hapo umepata.
At stake in 2027, it's not just who occupies State House, but whose vision will resonate with restless youth population and the Kenyan electorate. It's about whether Kenya's opposition can unite under one single flag bearer, whether President William Ruto can secure re-election.
Kama ni kura, si munilipigia 2022? Ama namna gani? Si hiyo kura mulinipigia inatosha niwafanyie hii kazi? Yes, so watu wasisumbuke na mambo ya kura. Kura itakuja baadaye na Mungu ndiye ataamua. Na hao wananchi ndio kusema. Na kila mtu apimwe kwa hii kura na kazi yake. Mtu ya kung'evya na makelele na matuzi na manini na nini apelekwe nyumbani mbio mbio.
And whether shifting alliances will redraw the political map, and whether Kenya's restless youth, nearly 70% of the population, will finally tilt the scale of power.
I'm a Gen Z, and Niko Kadi.
Gen Z, Niko Kadi.
Hello, I'm a Gen Z, Niko Kadi.
What's up, my guys? I'm a Gen Z, na Niko Kadi.
Tuko Kadi! With unemployment, cost of living, and corruption still dominating public discourse, the stake could not be higher. The stakes are high, the players are seasoned, and the script is already unfolding. What remains is who will hold the keys to power.
Mimi ndio nitaongoza safari ya kupeleka Kasongo nyumbani aende mpaka Sugoi.
Wale majamaa vile nimewaona, sera hawana, mpango hawana, maono hawana, agenda hawana, hata akili.
The 2027 general elections will be one of the most consequential in Kenya's history. President William Ruto will be seeking re-election, determined to cement his legacy. The opposition, on the other hand, is searching for a unifying figure to unseat the incumbent. And millions of young Kenyans, many voting for the first time, are demanding jobs, opportunities, and change. But before Kenyans cast their ballot, the events of 2026 will set the stage for one of the most unpredictable elections in the country's history. The opposition will enter 2027 with one clear mission: unity to unseat the incumbent President William Ruto.
For the benefit of the DP.
Yet, unity is easier said than done. The dream of a united opposition is haunted by the hurdle of selecting a presidential flag bearer.
United opposition is not just a coalition. It is your government in waiting. We are united not by personal ambition, but by shared values. And I make this commitment to you: by the first quarter of 2026, the name of a presidential candidate will be made known to Kenyans.
I want to give my commitment and that of DCP that we shall make whatever sacrifices necessary to have one presidential candidate to make William Ruto one term.
Behind closed doors, negotiations will be tense, egos will clash, and ambitions will collide. The question remains, who will carry the flag?
Opposition has very many players, and all these players, as it would be expected, it is naturally not possible for them to speak in one voice, at this stage especially. Because you see, politics is a game of interest. So Martha Karua is pushing for something. Rigathi Gachagua is pushing for something. Kalonzo Musyoka believes that he's the best. Matiang'i, by the way, we had forgotten about Matiang'i. Matiang'i is also part of that group. And therefore, all of them, to me, have not been able to agree on the flag bearer. Do I see it happening? No, it will not.
Who is going to unite the opposition? Because they either unite or they will be hanged separately. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Matiang'i, and Rigathi Gachagua, and all those other people who may not actually be on the ballot will play a significant role, but all geared towards one goal: making William Ruto a one-term president. That's the primary goal.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua finds himself at a center of political intrigue. Several leaders once aligned to him have seemingly abandoned ship. Never one to retreat quietly has responded with sharp words, accusing those who distance themselves for being spies planted by President William Ruto to infiltrate and disrupt the opposition.
There was a narrative in the beginning of the year at watu wanatoka United Opposition, sijui wanatoka DCP wanaenda kwa Kasongo. Hakuna mtu anatoka DCP ama United Opposition. Those were moles and spies of Kasongo in our party. We have removed them. Wamerudi pahali walitoka.
People have changed. And when people change that way and start interrogating what you are telling them, and they look at you, they think of what you said when you're in government and what you're saying now that you've joined the opposition, and they start having doubts in you, then this was bound to happen. And that is what Kina Koimburi, the likes of Koimburi and Wamushomba are doing.
Speculation mounts that former President Uhuru Kenyatta could re-emerge as a power broker in opposition politics, not just an influential former president, but also as a key player in opposition politics, potentially alongside Gachagua.
Ground yule ndiraigua ri marenda andu makoro me kindu kiriku.
Ninaona hii watu ya Kasongo pale Ikulu wana shida hapo mikutano, wakisema ati Uhuru Kenyatta rais wetu hawezi fanya kazi na Rigiji. Mlijua namna gani? How do you know? Let me tell you, Kasongo, wewe hujui sisi. The fact tulikupatia kura unafikiria wewe unatujua. In fact, you think you are one of us. You are not.
Could an unlikely Gachagua-Uhuru alliance reshape the race? Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, though retired, remains a figure whose influence cannot be ignored. His potential role in opposition politics, whether as a kingmaker or silent strategist, could tilt the trajectory. Together, Gachagua and Uhuru represent a Mount Kenya factor that could either fracture the opposition further or provide the glue it desperately needs.
He does not have the pull that he used to have, but he still has a say. And increasingly, more and more people are turning to him for advice because things have not been going very well. And when you have growing number of people in the mountain unhappy with Gachagua, some of them tend to look to Uhuru and say, yes, you want us and all this sort of thing. But his influence should not be overestimated. It is there, just like Gachagua's, but not what it used to be.
You know, there were political enemies, but when the interests converge, then they cut a deal. So there's a very high probability that President Ruto can cut a deal, a political deal with any politician in Kenya, just as the probability does exist that Mr. Rigathi Gachagua and President Kenyatta can cut a political deal. Because what happens with these politicians with powerful political capital is as we approach any election, they look at the scorecard, they look at the scoreboard and identify where their interests are. If their interests converge, then they'll cut political deals.
Uhuru Kenyatta cannot be taken for granted. He has the sway in Mount Kenya as a person, if not his party at present. And therefore, he is one of the leading kingmakers in the region.
For Rigathi Gachagua, he wants to play kingmaker, but he is not a good kingmaker because he is too divisive. So he found a team that was formidable. He found a team that was united. And the moment he came in, he managed to split it and to scatter it. And now everybody is doing their own thing. So both of them, I think, because they are not interested. You know, Gachagua is a condemned man and he cannot run for office, by the way. He will not run in this general election, and he might not run even in the next one. So he's trying to play the role of a broker.
The Orange Democratic Movement, once a heartbeat of the opposition politics, now faces internal divisions. On one side, Oburu Oginga Factor advocating for partnership with President Ruto, arguing its pragmatic path.
Hatuwezi kuwa bila power. Ni lazima tupate power.
On the other, the Edwin Sifuna Factor fiercely opposition to any alliances, warning that such a deal will betray ODM's grassroots base.
Na wale ambao wanaeneza mambo mengine hapa, Baba alisema, who has told you? Who has told you?
Might the ODM fracture the opposition's dream of unity, leading it to collapse before it even begins? These divisions could determine whether ODM becomes a partner in government or an addition in opposition.
The situation within ODM can be best described as a tower of Babel, and it captures how political parties are run, especially in Africa. The wrangles within ODM confirmed today that the party was not anchored on an ideology or on an idea or a philosophy. The party was anchored by a gentleman called Mr. Raila Odinga. Mr. Raila Odinga was the glue holding ODM together. And in his absence, the glue has melted and people are pulling and pushing in different directions.
What makes us think that ODM is going to outlive Raila Odinga is a big lie. What is going to happen is that it is going to splinter into fragments. Some will be stronger than others, others will be weaker. What will make a difference is if somebody like, let's say, James Orengo is endorsed as the party leader and as a party presidential candidate, never mind Oburu is the party leader, and then they start now mobilizing on the ideology of Raila Odinga, they might buy themselves another 5 years of strength.
What you're experiencing in ODM is something that is happening also in the Jubilee Party. It happens in most political parties. We have people like Babu Owino, Sifuna, even Winnie herself, firebrands, and people who have decided that it's no longer going to be business as usual. But also we have the legacy politicians like Oburu Odinga, Wanga, and the others, and people who benefited from Raila Odinga. The people who are independent in ODM are being gagged, you know? They're being told, shut up, it's not yet your time.
President Ruto is leaving nothing to chance. His re-election bid is being based on rolling out ambitious projects, delivering tangible results, and winning the hearts of Kenya's youth. Through initiatives like Nyota program, he seeks to appeal to young voters with promises of jobs and empowerment.
Tunataka kuongeza vijana ambao wanafanya kazi kwa climate works, na tunataka tuongeze vijana wanaofanya kazi kwa mambo ya affordable housing, kutoka vijana 1,300 mpaka vijana 1,600 watakaofanya kazi kwa mpango ya affordable housing na markets na mambo ya hostels.
But will these projects be translated to votes or be dismissed as political gimmicks?
William Ruto overpromised during the 2022 general election. And I think in his first 2.5 years, one of the things that he figured out and realized is that people were tired of rhetorics, and that people had stopped taking him seriously because he had promised so much during the campaign, yet he had achieved very little. He kept promising. I see that Ruto has changed from a person who is promising to a person who is calling people and saying, I have done this. You see, like what he's doing with the Nyota project. So he's become, he's trying to brand himself as an action-oriented leader.
Never, ever take President William Ruto for granted. He's a consummate strategist. He has the money and he has the energy. Of all the leaders that I know, there is nobody who has more energy than President Ruto in terms of traversing the countries, meeting people at all their social levels, whether you are rich or you are poor. So that his politics is more vertical than horizontal. Vertical in the sense that he mobilizes the top and the bottom at the same time. And therefore you need solid unity, you need a good strategy, and you need to energize yourselves.
Another question looms. Will Ruto retain Kithure Kindiki as his deputy in 2027? ODM is demanding for the seat in its cooperation with the ruling party.
Nilisema ya kwamba huyo deputy president hatuna nini chuki na yeye kwa binafsi. Yeye binafsi hatuna maneno naye. Lakini hiyo kiti ni kiti ya public.
I don't know whether you have listened to Oburu, the current party leader. Every time he speaks to the president, he begs. And even says, we are ready to work with you. Mheshimiwa Rais, we will work with you. You know, Raila was the opposite. Raila will start from a point of, we will not work with you. You know, umefinya wananchi sana, we will not work with you. Then from there, you can come to the table, we talk. But Oburu has already sold himself cheap to the current system, to the current government. So that part of ODM cannot produce a presidential candidate.
A section of Mount Kenya leaders have said they will defend Kithure Kindiki's seat in the run-up to 2027 elections.
Mchunge jamii ya Central Kenya, mchunge sana. Mnaweza fanya mchezo hii mwaka mbili tujipate nje. Alafu kwa bahati mbaya tufanye mchezo miaka ingine 5 tuko nje.
Wakati huu tuko na deputy president ambaye ni Kithure Kindiki. Sawa? Na deputy president amekalia kiti. Na watu ya ODM wameanza kumezea mate ile kiti. Sisi tuko ndani ya serikali. Na vile Biblia inasema lazima uwe moto ama baridi. Kwa hivyo sisi tuko kwa serikali, tukichomekea hapo we don't mind.
Kenya's 2027 presidential race is shaping up as a battle between the political heavyweights and a group being seen by many as underdog challengers, including activist Boniface Mwangi, former Chief Justice David Maraga, and gospel musician Ruben Kigame.
Mwaka wa 2027 au mapema ama baadaye, wakati uchaguzi utakapoitishwa, mimi niko tayari kujiweka mbele kutetea Wakenya wanaotaka utu na wanaotaka haki na wanaotaka maadili.
Tutafanya kazi na wale ambao watakuwa na ile vision yetu. Yule mtu ambaye atataka kutekeleza katiba, niko tayari kufanya kazi na yeye. Yule mtu ambaye atakemea corruption na hataki pesa ya serikali ibiwe, niko tayari kufanya na yeye.
Our country is broken and in danger of becoming a failed state. The truth is, things are depleted and depressed for our people. Nothing is hardly working in this country. I'm going to be running for the President of the Republic of Kenya.
These lesser-known contenders are positioning themselves as a voice of the change against entrenched politicians. The underdog brings fresh ideas and moral authority, but face steep odds against the well-funded politically entrenched heavyweights. Their campaigns could reshape Kenya's political discourse by amplifying issues of integrity, inclusivity, and youth empowerment.
Tayari kuwakadiria shairi lenye mada, je, uko kadi?
The youth are not just voters, they are most likely to be kingmakers of 2027. With unemployment high and frustration simmering, their demands are clear: jobs, opportunities, and accountability.
Unapata tukishawapigia kura wanasema tutapewa job. After hapo, mtu akishaka kwa kiti anasahau kuna youth ali promise something.
My opinion, I haven't find sijapata mtu mwenye ako qualified kwa kupata vote yangu.
We are the Gen Zs and we believe in radical change. For a very long time, we have been complaining about bad governance, corruption. We have been regretting for mistakes that we are not even part of. So this year we want to be part of the change.
Their frustration with unemployment and corruption could swing the election, and any party that does ignore them does so at its peril. The Nyota project is Ruto's answer, but opposition leaders are crafting their own promises. The battle for the youth vote will be fierce, and it may decide the presidency.
As much as people don't want to intentionally say, young people, they don't participate, young people, there's always negativity around young people. But if the political class right now was to sit down, they're scared of young people. They're scared. They can't figure out how to get to them. And so when you see the president gallivanting Nairobi or the country with Nyota, it's because they're trying to get to young people. So this is still the effect of June 2024.
The Gen Z politics is a politics of protest. How the Gen Z move from the politics of protest to electoral politics, where they can fill positions and be part and parcel of making decisions and implementing the ideas that they have been articulating, is the big puzzle. And up to now, I have not seen that movement towards transforming the Gen Z from protesters to electors.
Kenya's 2027 election campaigns are increasingly centering on Mount Kenya, Western and Nyanza regions, signaling that these blocks will be decisive in shaping alliances and voter turnouts. Speculations is building that the regional focus could redefine traditional power base and determine who secures presidency. The battle for regional royalty in Mount Kenya, Western and Nyanza will be pivotal.
William Ruto, you have lost a mountain. Let me advise you today for free. Forget about this mountain. If you want to be re-elected, if you have any plan for re-election, in your formula, in your mathematics, remove the mountain. It's gone and gone and gone forever.
Kwani mnafikiri ati kuna mtu atanitisha? Ati akuja atengeneze propaganda hapa, azunguke, ati William Ruto. Mimi niko na uhusiano na watu wa Nyeri na haikuanza jana.
Luhya and Luo must be on the table when Kenya is being discussed. Watu wawili watatu wakianza kukula wakiwa ndani ya serikali wanafikiri Waluhya wanakula. Hapana. Nyinyi mkikula kuleni ya saa hii. 2027 Waluhya watajipanga wakuwe kwa meza.
Hatutaki kutengana until we speak with one voice. Hata mkiwa mapacha, mmoja huwa anatoka mbele ya mwingine.
If Ruto wants the Luhyas to support him in 2027, he will come afresh on fresh terms.
These regions are not just campaign stops, yet they are strategically battlegrounds that could determine the next president. In recent weeks, several political gatherings have been marred by groups of unlikely individuals described as hired guns, storming venues and intimidating supporters, raising alarm among citizens, fueling concerns about the protection of political freedoms.
Goons descended on us under police escort, and when they were overwhelmed by members of the public and my security, the police assisted them. Police lobbied tear gas canisters inside the church to enable the guns come inside the church. They were repulsed by members of the public and we escaped without being injured. Women and children were hurt inside that church.
Authorities have pledged to investigate the incidents and hold perpetrators accountable, but critics argue that stronger measures are needed to safeguard political freedoms.
Wale ambao wanatumia vijana kama wahuni, watu ambao wanatumika kulete fujo, kupiganisha wananchi, kulete maafa, hawa ni watu ambao hatuwezi kukubali, na nishamueleza Inspector General wetu wa polisi kwamba watu hawa wote lazima wachukuliwe hatua kali za kisheria ndio tukomeshe uhuni.
In the next few months is to make sure that Your Excellency will deal with the issue of goods across the country. And I must say this, Your Excellency, this must be done without fear or favor. Must be done indiscriminately.
As the countdown to 2027 continues, the disruptions serve as a stark reminder of the fragile balance between political competition and national unity. The country's electoral body, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has highlighted its commitment to a fair and credible general election, with the electoral body chairperson stressing that stealing election in Kenya is impossible.
To steal election in this country is an impossibility. These returning officers here can confirm to you, even observers, honest observers will tell you, the media that witnessed these by-elections, it's impossible. Ukipewa shilingi 1,500 utapata kura wapi ya kuweka kwa box na utawekelea wapi mbele ya all these cameras and eyes? It is an impossibility.
This comes even with the Tuko Kadi movement driving massive voter registration surge among the youth.
Our unity as the young people of this country is our strength, and hiyo ndio tunaenda kuitumia going forward. So once Tuko Kadi, we are going to identify the right candidates who are going to take up the leadership positions in future.
Tuko Kadi is not about anyone. It's not about Ademba, it's not about Willie, it's not about anyone. It's not about the Kina Shakira who are also supporting the initiative. It's about young people wachukue kura. It's about the resolve of the young people to register as voters.
Politicians have quickly jumped on the bandwagon, trying their best to jump on the campaign to capture the most vital commodity, the youth vote.
Wale ambao wanataka kushindana na sisi ya kwamba miradi yetu ya maendeleo inaendelea, Kenya tunaitransform, na mimi nataka niwaambie tuko tayari na tuko kadi. Kama mnataka hiyo, tuko kadi tayari. We are ready for you.
I am very happy to be associated with this movement, and I have absolute faith in our young people. I love them and I trust them, and I know they will not let this country down. I know the young people will do this country proud, and it is them who have the power because they are incorruptible. They cannot be bribed with the beans and rice. They cannot be bribed with handouts. They will make the right decisions, which is good for the benefit of this country.
2026 is the year of positioning. Analysts say Kenyans should expect anything, and that 2026 is expected to be a year of defections and coalition building. Leaders will cross party lines, new alliances will be forged, and betrayals will sting, and there will be the emergence of political heavyweights and bitter rivalries.
After April, May there, you're going to see a change because the country is going to enter into a campaign mode for that 1 year of the campaign. Already, parties have started identifying who are their champions in different areas of election, from the MCAs to members of parliament to senators and so on. And therefore, we're going to see a lot of movement of those who are prospective candidates, from the opposition to the government and from the government to the opposition. We are going to see people aligning themselves to the ground from where they come. We are likely to see a lot of defections from the government to the opposition.
There are only two alignments. The first alignment is a progressive alignment that does not want to see the killing of our Gen Zs. the killing of NHIF, the killing of university funding model, the killing of free primary education, the removal of Linda Mama. The first alignment is an alignment of progressive people who want to return Kenya back to sanity. The other alignment is an alignment of people who are okay with killing of Gen Zs. They are okay with SHA not working. They are okay with Linda Mama not working. They are okay with no capitation to schools. They are okay with lies. They are okay with projects being launched and then not being implemented. There will be only two alignments. An alignment of truthful people who mean well for Kenya, and an alignment of people who only want to lie to Kenyans, steal from Kenyans, hoodwink them and take this country down to the drain. Those are the only two alignments we see.
The next general election next year will be influenced more by a presidential candidate and by the people who believe in true change, genuine change. You know, genuine change. These status quo manenos is what has made us whine and complain perpetually.
Already, political leaders across the divide are quietly shifting allegiances, testing the waters of new alliances. As Kenya marches towards 2027, the nation watches with anticipation. Will the opposition unite? Will ODM heal its divisions? Will President Ruto secure re-election? And will the country's restless youth majority turn up to vote? By end of 2026, we'll have a clear picture of the political landscape heading to 2027. The question is not just who will win, but what kind of Kenya will emerge from the storm. One thing is certain, 2027 will not just be another election. It will be a defining chapter in Kenya's democratic journey. How might 2027 politics turn out? Only time and people will decide.
Comprehensively addressed by Alvin Kithinji, voiced by none other than Willie Dennis Njiru. We appreciate as well. We see your feedback.